Hello and welcome to the Christmas Music Tag. This is an original tag that was created by Daniela at Uncommon Reader and Reney from Beyond Books to celebrate Reney's first year on Booktube. So congratulations, Reney. Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics tagged me, and I recommend going to see all the videos other people have made about this as well. There are 8 prompts, and the tag is based on songs, carols, and hymns that celebrate the Christmas season. You can still do this if you don't celebrate the season, but that's just what many of these prompts are based on. So the prompts, number 1 is Joy to the World, a book that brings you so much joy you wish the whole world would read it. Now, my answers are going to be different than a lot of other people's. And if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll understand how there are different books that come up for me with connections and questions. So my first choice is The Amulet by Michael McDowell. Yes, it is a horror story. Yes, it has a high body count. Why did this book bring me joy? Because I love when some smart-ass, sanctimonious individual gets what they deserve. And that doesn't mean karma or anything like that. It just was a wild ride, always wondering whether things were going to work out. And an individual in this finally becomes empowered, had enough, and you'll have to read the rest to find out why that worked out so well. The second choice, and I don't have a copy of it, is Crab. This is a story about a young man. It's by a Canadian author. We used to do it in English classes, and I loved the story the first time I read it, and each year we did it thereafter. It's a young man with parents who don't necessarily pay attention to him. He goes off to find himself basically and just get some things figured out, but he ends up stuck in the woods. He is a city kid, had no idea what he was getting into. Thankfully, he meets a character named Mary. She's also in the woods for different reasons. She helps him learn about how to figure things out and survive. He's deciding that perhaps it may be time to go back home, but he doesn't know if he can make it on his own. The reason I love this book, it's a line I always mention to my students. Mary says to Crab, the best compliment that you can give a teacher is, thank you, I don't need you anymore. Meaning, you have conveyed that sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, and ability to move forward. And a number of my students, and they never said it in a bad way, would tell me, thank you, I don't need you anymore. And I think, yes, that just made my day. And I'm so glad to say, no, they didn't. They've gone on, been successful. And to me, that is the highest compliment. Whether it's a teacher or a counselor, it's about empowering other people. So yes, 2 very different books that brought me joy for different reasons. Let It Snow, a book that takes place in a snowy, cold environment. I borrowed this one from the library, and that was The Terror by Dan Simmons. I enjoyed the read. I enjoyed the 10-episode Prime series. In fact, I was reading the book as I was watching the series, so I didn't go ahead in the book past the episodes that I watched. I mean, I know that a lot of it is guesswork because we'll never 100% know for sure about what happened to the men of the Franklin expedition. But Dan Simmons did some research. It was a fascinating story along with the creature that is the terror. So it was an enjoyable read, and I'm looking forward to checking out more of Dan Simmons' work because of that read. You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, a book with a mean character or one that you just didn't like. Back to Michael McDowell. So glad Valancourt started publishing his works again. This is Cold Moon Over Babylon. Again, for me, a reread from decades ago. And the character Nathan in this book is just despicable. I mean, he's beyond words. Vile, nasty. McDowell does a great job again of building that suspense. Even though there are some things you think you figured out, there are a lot of twists and turns. And yeah, I just enjoy Michael McDowell's writing, and I'm so glad his work is available again. Santa Claus is Coming to Town, a book releasing soon you can't wait to read. I have nothing. If you've watched my book hauls or my bookcase videos or any of my book summaries, I typically read older works. Number 5, 12 Days of Christmas, a book of short stories. That is the Lovecraft Compendium. This includes the Dunwich Horror, as well as the Call of Cthulhu, Dagon, the Whisperer in Darkness, and the Haunter of the Dark. That was an easy pick as I'm participating in the Reading Lovecraft during December event created by Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads and Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics. The Little Drummer Boy, a book that brings back childhood memories. Well, unlike other people, I not only have the memories, I have the book. This is The Kitten's Voyage, and yes, this book is older than a lot of the people watching this video. In fact, it's probably 55 years old. And in fact, my love with cats began a very long time ago. No, it's not immaculate. It's probably my dad put the masking tape on the side. This is from the Tiny Elf Library. I know I just read this book over and over again. I loved the beautiful illustrations. I loved the story about a family. They go on a voyage, meet a king and a queen. They have a wonderful time there. And then they go sailing home at the end, which also tied in with my love of the stars. There's just so much to this book. Deck the Halls, a book that has a party scene or takes place during a holiday. I'm laughing because I could have picked different books, but I actually just read The Omen, which again is a reread for me. And there's Damien's 4th birthday party, which, if you know the story, either the book or the movie, things did not go well, but, well, it was a book that had a party scene for sure. Number 8, Frosty the Snowman, a book with a character who is cold or calculating. Again, there are a number I could have picked, and I picked Dracula by Bram Stoker. Now, Dracula, it depends again on the version. I mean, in Stoker's book, he is cold and calculating. He has a certain plan in mind and a reason for doing things. You know, he keeps Jonathan in Romania while he's headed off to England to put everything into motion. If you've seen some of the movie versions, you know, Dracula Untold, he's very loyal to his country, which the character Vlad Tepes certainly was, and would have done anything to keep his part of the country safe, and did, depending on the different stories that you believe and the various research. So Dracula, as far as the fictional character, was cold and calculating, and the character that Dracula is based on, Vlad Tepes from the 1400s, was also very cold and calculating and laser focused on what it was he wanted to do. So those are my answers. Like I say, I'm pretty sure some of the titles I picked are not going to be on anyone else's radar or choices, but by now you're used to me being different. And yes, I have got the reindeer ears on and the cool curly hair because there's only so many videos I can get away with doing this for a short time. Now, the optional bonus prompt. Do you have a fun memory or interesting holiday tradition that you would like to share? Doesn't have to be about Christmas. It can be any holiday you choose. Share the cheer, tag others, and have a very happy holiday season. The closest thing that I have to a tradition anymore is listening to War of the Worlds, the musical by Jeff Waynes, narrated by Richard Burton, and I don't even know how many times I listened to this during this past October as I was doing other things. Typically, I listen to it on the 31st, but this year it just seemed like a great thing to listen to while I was getting some other things done. That is pretty much the only traditional thing I have. We kind of make most of each day. That's just how I've decided to focus on things for a number of years. I don't really get into decorating, partly because I remember as a kid, you had to bring everything down from the attic. It took forever. Then you put everything up. Then you had to take everything down and pack it up. And that's just not me. So I have things around my house all year round, and I like that. It's easy maintenance. I have different things here and there that remind me of the various holidays that are marked on calendars, but personally, I prefer to make the most out of every single day and celebrate that I've been given a gift of one more day to make the most of. As far as tagging, December is a busy month, so I'm going to say if you're watching this and you have the time, please feel free to do this and participate, and be sure to congratulate Reney on her 1 year on YouTube. And until next time, whatever you celebrate or don't during December, have an amazing one.